When I first met James, I knew his family would be a problem. Not in the dramatic soap opera kind of way. No screaming matches, no wild accusations. Just cold. Reserved. Judgmental in that quiet, loaded silence way that makes you feel smaller than you are. James was sweet, calm, steady. The kind of man who made you tea when you had cramps and actually remembered how you took it. But his family? They were the legacy kind. His dad worked in law, his mom had this brittle kind of social charm that never extended to me, and his sister once introduced me as James's the person. Still, I thought I could live with that. They weren't outright cruel, just distant. Until I got pregnant. We hadn't been trying. We weren't even officially engaged at the time, though we had talked about it, joked about it. So when the test came back positive, I was terrified. But James, he hugged me. He kissed my forehead. He said, "We've got this." I believed him. I told my parents first. They cried. Happy tears. Promised to support us no matter what. Asked if we needed anything. It was the kind of response you hope for. James's parents were different. His mom blinked. Once. Then asked, "Are you sure?" Not, "Are you sure you're pregnant?" She meant, "Are you sure it's his?" I froze. I didn't even know how to respond. James stepped in, visibly angry, but not loud. "She's sure, Mom." There was an awkward silence after that, the kind that stretches and thickens the air in a room. His dad cleared his throat, offered me a weak smile, and said something. About making sure everything is in order. I tried to brush it off. Chalk it up to shock, generational differences, whatever excuse I could summon. But it didn't stop there. A week later, James told me they wanted a paternity test. Not subtly, either. His mother emailed him a list of approved testing clinics. Said she just wanted to avoid future complications. Complications? Like my child was a lawsuit waiting to happen. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at the wall while James apologized over and over. "I don't want it either," he said. "But they're relentless. You know how they are. Maybe if we do it, it'll shut them up." I said nothing. But inside I was seething. I didn't blame James. Not really. He'd always been the kind of person to keep the peace, to bend rather than break. But I wasn't going to bend for this. Still, I agreed to the test, with one condition. I wanted to be the one who handled it. He hesitated, but eventually nodded. "Okay, if that's what makes you feel more in control." It wasn't about control. It was about the message I was going to send. I didn't tell anyone what I planned. Not James, not my best friend, not even my therapist. I scheduled the appointment, went in alone, swabbed my cheek, had them collect the sample from the baby too. Just a simple prenatal version that required a blood draw. But I brought something else with me. A third sample, from someone they'd never expect. 3 weeks later, the results were ready. I printed the report, sealed it in an envelope, and hand-delivered it to their house. James was at work. I didn't want him involved. His parents opened the door, looking every bit as stiff as usual. His mom took the envelope like it might burn her fingers. "This is from the clinic," I said. "The one you approved." She opened it at the dining table while his dad hovered nearby. I watched her eyes flick back and forth across the page, trying to decode the scientific jargon. She froze. Her face went pale, then flushed, then pale again. She handed it to her husband. He read it, blinked, then looked up at me with something between confusion and horror. This says James isn't the father." I nodded. Silence. I let it stretch. Then I said, as calmly as I could, "Now you know how it feels to be accused of something you didn't do." His mother's jaw dropped. "Of course James is the father," I continued. "I know that. You know that. But imagine reading that and wondering what everyone else will think. Imagine your name being whispered at dinner parties. Imagine strangers raising eyebrows at your baby. I leaned in slightly. That's what you tried to do to me. They didn't say a word. I turned and walked out without another word. Back at home, I shredded that fake report and locked the real one in a drawer. James was the father. No doubts, no drama. But they'd never ask again. Let me know if you want. Part 2, where we explore the fallout, especially what happens when James finds out what I did. James came home late that night. I'd been pacing. Not because I was afraid of what he'd say, but because I wasn't sure how much to tell him. I didn't lie to him, but I didn't exactly tell the full truth either. He dropped his bag by the door and glanced at me, a little tired, but still soft-eyed. "Did you go over there?" he asked. I nodded. "They got the results?" "Yeah." He hesitated. "And?" "They got what they needed," I said. He stared at me for a beat too long. "You didn't tell me what day you scheduled it. I didn't think." "You'd go alone." "You said I could handle it," I replied, a little too quickly. "I did." His eyebrows knit together, not angry, just cautious. "What did they say?" "They won't be asking for another test." It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the version of the truth he expected. He watched me like he was trying to solve a puzzle he wasn't sure he wanted to finish. But in the end, he only nodded, pulled me into a hug, and whispered, "I'm sorry they put you through that." I buried my face in his chest. I wasn't sure if I was feeling guilty or triumphant. Maybe both. We didn't talk about it again for a while. The baby grew. My belly swelled. We got engaged officially, and James started building a crib with way more tools than I thought were necessary. His parents stayed distant, polite, but cold. They didn't fight me on anything after that. No snide comments, no awkward questions. They asked about due dates and nursery colors like we were just any other couple, but the looks they gave me sometimes, they were sharp, like they were scared of me. I didn't mind. Then, 3 weeks before the baby was due, it happened. James found the real DNA results. It was late. I'd gone to bed early. He was cleaning out drawers in the office, trying to make space for the new filing cabinet we bought for all the baby paperwork. I forgot I had shoved the real paternity results in one of the folders. When I came out for water, I found him sitting on the floor, the papers spread out beside him. He looked up at me. His expression was unreadable. "You lied to them," he said. My throat dried instantly. I didn't lie. You gave them fake results. This says I am the father, but you gave them one that said I wasn't." He didn't sound angry, just stunned. I sat down across from him, trying to read his face. "You said they wanted the test to protect the family name," I said quietly. "So I gave them something to protect. Their silence. Their fear. I didn't accuse anyone. I just let them sit with the doubt they tried to dump on me." He didn't answer right away. I thought, "You wanted to move past all this," he finally said. "I do." But I needed them to feel it. Just once. Even for 5 seconds. I needed them to understand. James ran a hand through his hair. "I don't disagree with you. But, God, they're already paranoid. This just gave them ammunition." "Against me?" I asked. "After what they did?" He didn't reply, and that silence, that hesitation, cut deeper than anything. The next day, his mother called. She didn't say hello. She said, "James told me everything." My heart didn't race. It didn't even flutter. "Good, I don't know what kind of woman would play games like that," she said, voice trembling. I kept my tone level. "The kind who's tired of being treated like trash." "You humiliated us." "No. You humiliated yourselves when you questioned whether your own son could be trusted. You just didn't like seeing the mirror." She hung up. I stared at the phone for a while. James and I didn't fight over it. But something shifted. A thin crack in the glass between us. Not quite broken, but not seamless anymore either. The baby came 2 weeks early. It was a girl. James cried harder than I did. He held her like she was made of glass, like she'd break if he breathed too hard. His parents visited the hospital the next day. They brought flowers, gifts, a small silver bracelet with the family initials engraved on the charm. His mother smiled like nothing had ever happened. His father kissed my forehead. The hypocrisy made me want to scream, but I didn't. Because my daughter was sleeping, and in that moment, she was the only thing that mattered. Our daughter, Ellie, changed everything and nothing. All at once, James was a natural dad. He could calm her with a single hum. She'd cling to his pinky finger like it was her anchor to the world. Watching him with her made me fall in. Love all over again. Despite everything we'd been through, we were good on the surface. But cracks don't always show right away. His parents were around more than I expected. Not overly involved, but enough to leave a shadow in the room. His mom sent gifts, expensive ones, books, jewelry, clothes with the family monogram stitched on the collar. Every piece felt like a branded reminder of who she thought Ellie belonged to. At first, I let it go. We needed the help. And they weren't unkind to Ellie, just formal. His mother never called herself Grandma. She insisted on Mimi. A title she said was more refined. Ellie turned 1. Then 2. She grew into the sharpest little creature I'd ever met. Smart eyes, curious spirit, always asking questions, always watching. I adored her. But as she started to talk more, repeat things, notice things, so did I. One night, she asked me, "Mommy, why does Mimi say I look more like her than you?" My heart stalled. She said that. Ellie nodded, casually, like it was a fact of life. I tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, then sat in, the whole way outside her room, staring at the floor. It wasn't just a comment. It was a claim. A slow, creeping one. James noticed the tension before I said anything. "She doesn't mean it like that," he told me. "She always means it like that," I replied. He didn't argue, but he didn't stop her either. A few months later, things got worse. We were at a family dinner. James's parents, his sister, us. Ellie sat between her dad and Mimi, laughing, babbling in that half-sentence toddler language. Then his mother turned to me, all fake sweetness, and said, "You!" No, if something ever happened, we'd be more than happy to take Ellie. Full time, I mean. She already feels like one of ours. The room went dead silent. James looked up, stunned. My hands went cold. "If something happened?" I asked. "Oh, I just mean, if you ever got overwhelmed, or needed a break." I smiled. The tight, dangerous kind of smile. Ellie has a mother. And she's not going anywhere. James didn't defend me that night. He just sat there, jaw clenched, clearly wishing the floor would open up and swallow him. That was the moment I knew something had to change. I started documenting everything. Not because I planned to go to war, but because part of me was beginning to believe I might have to. I saved voicemails, text messages, offhand comments recorded on my phone, just in case. Then the final straw came. Ellie was 3. We had gone to James's parents' house for what I thought was a casual Sunday visit. I stepped out to grab her. Favorite snacks from the car. When I came back, I heard his mother whispering to Ellie in the other room. "Someday, you'll come live with us. We have a bigger house, nicer toys, and no yelling." No yelling. I hadn't raised my voice in that house once. Not ever. But that didn't matter. She was planting seeds. Ellie didn't even know what it meant. But I did. I walked in, picked up my daughter without a word, and left. James followed after a few stunned minutes, yelling at his mom on the way. Out. That night, I told him, no more. No more unmonitored visits. No more casual drop-ins. No more pretending like they weren't slowly, methodically trying to rewrite our daughter's life. He agreed. He said all the right things, but the look in his eyes told me he was torn between me and them. between truth and comfort. Then, a week later, I got a letter from a lawyer. James's parents had filed a petition for grandparent visitation rights. Not custody, not yet. But they wanted legal, guaranteed access. And that was the moment everything exploded. I read the letter twice before I could even speak. They had gone behind our backs, filed in family court, claimed we were unreasonably withholding their access to Ellie, claimed emotional harm to their grandchild, claimed parental alienation. They wanted scheduled time with her. Weekends, holidays, unsupervised. I laughed once, bitterly. Then I cried for an hour. When James came home, I handed him the envelope. His face drained. They said they'd never. He started, but he didn't finish, because even he didn't believe it. That night, I packed bags, not for Ellie, for me. "You're leaving?" he asked, eyes wide. "I'm not running, but I'm not staying here pretending this is normal either. Your parents declared war, and I need to protect our daughter." "I'll talk to them," he said. "No," I replied. "You had years to talk to them. This is your silence coming home to roost." He sat down, shell-shocked. Then he did something. That surprised me. He said, "You're right." We hired a lawyer. The fight lasted 4 months. They tried to play the loving grandparents angle, painted us as unstable, said we were turning Ellie against them. They even referenced the fake DNA test I had shown them years earlier, twisting it into evidence that I was manipulative, dishonest. But they didn't expect me to be ready. I brought every recording, every note, every text. Their voices telling. My toddler, she'd belong to them someday. That mommy doesn't know what she's doing. Their passive-aggressive commentary, documented in my neat labeled folders. Our lawyer called it psychological undermining. The judge called it concerning. We won. No visitation granted. No legal standing. They walked out of that courtroom pale-faced and silent. But James was never the same after that. We tried to patch things up between us, went to couples counseling, took Ellie on a beach trip, tried to rebuild some kind of peace. But something was broken in him, or maybe in us. I think watching his family try to take legal ownership of our daughter shattered some part of him he didn't know was fragile. He still loved me. He still loved her. But his light dimmed. He didn't smile the same way. Didn't laugh as deeply. He moved through our life like a man trying to wake up from a dream he couldn't admit was real. A year later, we separated. It wasn't dramatic. Just quiet. We agreed on everything. Shared custody. Holidays split. No fighting. No dragging Ellie into it. We both loved her too much for that. And now, it's been almost 5 years. Ellie's 8. Bold. Brilliant. Fierce in a way that feels like a gift and a warning. James is remarried now. His new wife is kind to Ellie. I'm grateful for that. His parents, she doesn't see them. We never told her the full story, not yet. Just that sometimes people who say they love you try to control you. That love without respect isn't really love. That she's allowed to draw boundaries. Even with family, she's learning. We both are. Sometimes I think about that moment. The one where I handed them that fake test. The one that started the avalanche. I don't regret it. Because they never wanted proof. They wanted control. And I showed them what it felt like to lose it. Not for revenge, but to protect what mattered. My daughter. Our future. My peace. And I'd do it again. In a heartbeat.